Hey everybody, welcome to Around the Verse. I'm Ben Lesnick and I'm joined by...
Sandy Gardner.
And welcome home, Sandy.
Thank you.
You want to tell us a little bit about your secret mission?
Well, it wouldn't be a secret then, would it? However, I have been collecting marketing ideas that we are going to culminate and work out in the next few months.
Awesome. I look forward to hearing about those.
Yeah. I was going to come to you with them, actually. Yeah, exactly. What have you been doing?
I actually was off for a couple days. My brother got married. Congratulations, Gavin and Katie. But now I'm back here to continue star citizening.
I had my Australian girlfriend over this weekend, and she told me that I'm not a nerd, which was quite upsetting. I don't know.
My wife won't let me have my Australian girlfriend over.
Well,
but you are absolutely a nerd.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm a nerd by default, at least. Semi-nerd.
You make spaceships for a living. You're like a queen nerd.
Try explaining that to your grandmother. Cockpit contest winner, who is it, Ben?
Darkstar won our impromptu contest last week. He correctly identified the 4 cockpits, which were the mining robot, the Gladius, the F-8 Lightning, and the Retaliator.
You actually had to think about that, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I can't tell, so this guy's good.
Whether it's Alexis or Chelsea or somebody put an M50 in your account, so congratulations.
Good work, Darkstar. But the big news is, of course, V.9.
And V.9 is not quite here.
But we are working very hard to get it out. We're going to share with you exactly what our blockers are on the website, and hopefully it'll be patching to you very soon.
And now it's time for news from around the verse. Arena Commander. The team has been working very hard on fixing bugs.
And we've also been making some improvements. One thing people notice is that the Vanduul Glaive kind of is hard to distinguish from the other Vanduul ships, so Art has done a pass to make it stand out a little bit more, so try and hunt one down. Programming
is working hard on improving the Murray Cup stats and in creating a single-player race mode.
And we've made great progress in getting the other variants of the existing ships into the DFM. If you remember, there's other Aurora 300 series ships and Hornets on the way, and they're working on the damage passes and balance right now.
Aurora, is that with an E on the end?
Aurora, yeah, I think it's with an E at the end of her plural.
Right, we just made that up. Squadron 42, FPS combat versus AI is now playable.
And they're doing extensive planning for the very big mocap shoot they'll be having out in the UK.
Greyboxing continues on environments and features for the first episode, including the storage and tether systems today.
Persistent Universe. They've been doing a lot of work on atmospheric entry, including the visual effects and also the process for landing on a planet.
Been working on NPC dialogue and interactivity scripts.
And the AI Technical Design Document, TDD, has been signed off. It's ready to go.
And the star system layout tool is done. Does that mean I can do the star map?
It means that our designers can basically sit down and create star systems out of parts at will. For months and months, we kind of had to create systems by hand. And now they have actual software. They can say, oh, put a star here, put a planet here, put a base here. It's going to increase our output a great deal.
So is that a yes or a no?
Yes!
Just asking. Ships. Gladius audio support for the hangar is being worked on.
Yep. They are, if you notice, every ship has individual sounds in the hangar that have to be recorded, created. And they're working on the Gladius right now, which means it's coming soon to hangars near you.
Some remaining work on the Idris is being finished at Foundry 42.
And the Mustang is all over our pipeline. We have variants that are in the concept stage. We have variants that are getting their damage states done. We have variants that are getting flight ready. Expect to see a lot of Mustangs very soon.
And finally, the M50 and 350R are done and ready for flight.
Yay, new ships!
Yay, new ships. They're not new ships. Well, new ships to fly.
New ships to fly.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Over to Will with MVP.
Hey everybody, I'm lead moderator Will, here to bring you this week's MVP. But first, I'd like to say thanks to Renegade Shank for these sweet bacon socks and this awesome Operation Pitchfork medal. So let's get to it. This week's MVP is Mr. Combustible for his amazing 3D printed Freelancer. It's pretty cool. He shows the different steps as he created it, and you can actually see the inside of the Freelancer. So thank you very much, Mr. Combustible. You're this week's MVP.
Thanks, William. We've got a special interview for this week. Let's go over to James, who is speaking with Chris Smith about spaceship building.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Chris Smith, lead ship modeler. How you doing, man?
How's it going?
Pretty good. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for visiting us from Austin.
Yeah, anytime, you know.
How you liking California?
Well, it's good. You know, I'm sort of used to this place here. You know, I've been here quite a bit over the last year, and it's always good to see the team, you know, and work, you know, with some of the guys, you know, see some new faces. So it's good.
How's the weather?
Weather is fabulous because, I mean, anything that's, you know, less than 102, like it isn't awesome right now.
Sounds
so
rough.
it's going to be a good thing for me.
All right, man. You want to get us some questions?
Sure.
All right. First question is from Orion James. What personal aesthetic design biases do you find it hardest to avoid when they come into conflict with the predefined look and feel of a manufacturer? Can you give an example of when this happened and what the result was?
It's a long question.
It is. They tend. Our fans are awesome. They tend to write some pretty long questions. They want to get as much as they can.
I would say that, you know, my personal aesthetic usually comes into play in almost anything I do. You know, be it like I work off concept, and you know, there is a certain look already there, but as a sort of, you know, as a modeler, it is also your job to kind of, you know, put a little bit of yourself into everything. There hasn't been really any like huge conflicts with any of the ships that I've made so far. You know, the 300i and the concept had like really angular sort of faceted look to it. You know, I made it more rounder, but you know, it's just up to the artist. Like I said, no really conflicts. I just try to definitely put in my touches. I mean, you know, the M50 was sort of a ship that I did a lot of concept for, and I changed a whole lot. You know, I made it sort of that F1 look and everything, you know, which Chris wanted. He wanted sort of a racy F1 look, and so, you know, I just kind of, you know, took a lot of my personal design. Took a lot of my personal design, you know, standards, and you know, I love cars and racing cars, and that kind of stuff always sneaks its way into my ship design, I think.
Second question comes from First Verse Problems. If you could design a ship that hasn't been thought of yet, or a variant of one of those, what would it be, and why?
A ship that hasn't been thought of yet. I have not thought of that one yet.
I think he means a ship that hasn't been brought up yet. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, one that hasn't been thought of yet. You know, I haven't even had time to really think of, like, you know, crazy other ship designs. I've been really busy just like getting the ships that we have online and the variant of those. But I really like doing like the racing ships. Again, like I'm a car fanatic, and I love that stuff. So it's just like I'm really liking you know, our racing series, and you know, we're doing like a little Mustang racing series variants, and so I'm kind of excited about those. You know, we should just do a little racing version of all the ships, I think.
You want a Connie racer?
Yeah, dude, totally. Just all stripped down, some decals on there, it'll be sick.
Some red flames,
job.
some flames, some
Well,
speed
flames
holes.
if you want to do a hot rod thing. More like the M50 sort of, you know.
I just always think that Simpsons episode where he's hitting his hood with a pickaxe. He's like, "What's it for?" He's like, "Speed holes makes the car go faster."
Exactly, cooling.
Yeah. Next question comes from Amorphous Bob. How has the ship production pipeline evolved, and how has the workflow changed the way to tackle the ship design?
That has evolved quite a bit. So the ship pipeline, you know, over the last year and a half since we've been on it, you know, it's come a long way. You know, like we sort of, you know, last year when we were pushing ships out the door, it was, you know, just kind of like make them quickly and get them out there, you know, to the fans. But now we've been like putting in more and more process and more, you know, as we go, you know, like we're figuring out, you know, all the items that need to be brought onto the ships, all the customization, you know, dimensions, and, you know, the fans too, you know, they all have opinions and great ideas, you know, on implementations on ships, and just, you know, like the ships just get crazy complicated at this point. So the pipeline is greatly improved, and, you know, the process of making a ship it's made it easier. I've been able to sort of make a modeling guideline, for outsourced artists or new artists that come in, and that helps sort of standardize a certain way of the way we do ships here, which we're a little bit inconsistent on some of the ships, for some of the older ships that we've made and the first ships, but it's just going to get better and better, and the ships will just get better and better as we go.
It's actually quite a triumph as things got more complex through work you've done and others. You've made the pipeline process a little simpler, though.
Yeah,
it has to be.
Well, we had to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it simpler, but it's like laid out.
Yeah.
We have it written down. We have all the steps that we need to go through. And even from the first time the concept goes on, we start thinking about all the things that need to go in the ship. Like radar, shields, weapons, all that stuff. At first, the concept artist just kind of sort of went with it and did a bunch of custom stuff. But now that we already have like a little array of weapons, we have power plants, so the concept artist can use those existing assets that we already have and make a new ship with it. And so, well, I wouldn't say it's simpler, but it's definitely you can see it there, and it's easier to understand and actually execute.
There's a process.
Yeah.
Cool. Next question comes from Hycharis Abraxian.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is quite the
If
name.
that's right, thank you.
Tonebreaker.
Before a ship is ready for implementation, I noticed that it first has to be torn to shreds to create damage states, used to destroy the model during the combat and other threats. Could you explain a little more about how damage states impact the time requirement to prepare a ship for release, and how do you balance the performance when it breaks apart?
Damage states are obviously a big part, to get a ship ready for dogfighting. We have sort of a stage with our ships where, we have it ready, the basic model ready, and we have animations in there, and we have collisions in there, and it's ready to be sort of put in the hangar and ready for fans to check out. At that point, though, the damage states are not done usually. They're either in concept phase or they're not done. So, after that, there's a whole nother, probably, it depends on the size of the ship, but it's usually about 2 to 4 weeks of, damage design, damage implementation, and then of course like the game balance, which I don't really have so much to do with, and that's more of a Dan Tracy thing and those guys.
That guy.
Yeah. And Paul, those guys kind of implement everything and make it come alive. But yeah, I mean, I would say from the time the ship's actually just the base ship is modeled, it's another almost a month.
Oh wow.
Just to get it ready for the actual dogfight. And again, this like the constellation and damage, the damage is ridiculous of those and that thing. So that was like definitely a full week job. The M50 was like 1.5 weeks comparatively. So depends on, but yeah, it adds quite a bit of time.
Cool. All right, last question from Delogic. What art direction does Star Citizen have with regards to ships? Chris Roberts on TNGS has stated that some ships seem to fit more into his vision of your game. Do you have some guidelines for you to follow?
Yes. Chris Roberts is the guideline. So basically whatever he says goes in, There's no really strict sort of style guide to our ships, except for, our manufacturing style guide, sort of. Each manufacturer has its sort of style, but as far as we actually have quite a diverse range of ships. I think from the look to the functionality. I mean the freelancer ship is so much different than the M50 or the 300i
or even like the Scout.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, those things, so I think, while there's no real sort of like guideline, you're like, oh, this is a Star Citizenship.
You got it.
I mean, the only guideline I would say is the quality, right? We want like the best quality, as good as we can. And, I try to set the standard for that. That's my job.
Well, thanks, man. What's your favorite ship?
My favorite ship right now, I mean, you know, it was always the 300i. You know, I've made the Mustang and the M50 since. They're very, you know, I like how they came out. So I don't know. It's very close between maybe 350R and M50 right now.
Just keep it the racing thing.
Yeah, but I do like the Mustang too. I don't know if they all have it. But M50 right now is, you know, it's like the hot ship. So
I like how this is the question that stumped you.
yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
I'll enjoy the rest of your stay here in Santa Monica, and
Absolutely.
we'll see you back in Austin. All right, back to you guys.
And now let's go over to the customer support team for an update.
Hi, welcome to customer service. My name's Chelsea.
And I'm Alexis.
This week we wanted to give you an update that we are almost through the backlog of customer support tickets. So if you have not received a response yet, you should get one very soon.
And I have some merchandise updates for you. The dog tags are currently in the etching process, so it'll be about another 2 weeks before they are ready to ship. And the Constellation models should hopefully be going out by the end of this week.
We also wanted to thank a few people for some gifts that we've received in the office this week. I got some beautiful sunflowers behind me from Sebastian. And from Witch Doctor, we got a whole box of See's candy for the customer service team. Thanks, y'all. Back to you guys.
Thanks, ladies. And here we have our special guest.
Chris Roberts, I don't know, what am I going to say?
Chris Roberts.
Okay,
Yes.
Hello everyone. So first time behind the desk here on Around the Verse. So very nice to be behind the desk. And so I'm apparently meant to talk about CitizenCon, which we're going to do on October 10th of this year. This time in Los Angeles. Last year we did it in Austin, Texas, where we sort of went over what we'd achieved in the year and some of the things we were planning to. And we previewed the Hornet commercial at the very end of it, or at least a sort of in-progress version of it. So this year we're going to do CitizenCon in Los Angeles. And we're renting out the Avalon Theatre, and we're going to live stream it to all the backers, and we'll do a probably much more involved year in review, because obviously there's been a lot more people working on the project and we've had a lot more progress. Hoping to show a couple of live demos beyond what we obviously more than we did back in Austin last year, and have a lot of fun. So we're going to have a very small amount of actual backers available tickets to come join us. So we're going to have a sale of 300 tickets, one block of 100 at 9 a.m. Pacific time, another block at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and another block at 1 a.m. Pacific time. So hopefully everyone in the various time zones will get a chance, although you know, it is a fairly small amount, so don't get too angry if they all sell out, but you'll be able to see it all live streamed, and we promise this live stream is going to have a much better data up bandwidth than we had in Germany, so hopefully we'll have a more uninterrupted signal for you guys. And now apparently I'm meant to introduce Bug Smashers, which is always the incomparable Mark Aben and his bug smashing ability, which is actually very good. So take it away, Mark.
I'm ready. Bug Smashers!
Hey everyone, welcome back to Bug Smashers. It's been a week. I was over at PAX, so had to take a little break from smashing those bugs, and today we're back to show you a great bug. So this is one of those bugs that you'll never see, behind the scenes bugs that pops up before the public gets to see it. And here we have the M50, and I'm gonna go inside, swap to third person, use my 360 controller because it's really good at rotating around. I'm gonna zoom in, and if you notice, zoom in a little bit more, there we go. So whenever we're flying the ships, we want the player to basically be interacting, you know, G-forces, he's moving around, or if he's moving the throttle, he's pushing up and then using his stick. And as I move forward, you'll notice on this side, in the bottom right, he's not pushing his throttle up. And when I start turning around the ship, he's not even using the joystick. So we're gonna fix that little bad boy in the M50. So I got my first fan gift. Apparently Mr. Kevin decided that I couldn't use the knife anymore and that I should be, you know, hitting people with a Nerf gun. So let's shoot this guy. Much better than the intimidating knife. So here's my M50. And this is our little seat, and it describes all the actions that the player will do inside the seat. So when you sit down, you could shoot guns, and in this case, you could control these two bones, which control the throttle and the joystick based on inputs. In this case, the joystick pivot will be based on how you're pitching and yawing, and the throttle will be based on pitching and yawing, which we don't want. So let's change that to power, probably negative, and we'll bump up the degrees. All right, and let's see. Now, in order to move these actual shapes, they also have to be parts, vehicle parts. Let's see if they're defined. Oh no, no vehicle parts. Well, I guess we gotta make them vehicle parts. And lucky for us, good old Calyx gave me the hierarchy for the bones so we could set up the vehicle parts correctly. So as you can see here, the throttle is part of the cockpit dashboard, which is part of the cockpit interior. So let's look for those parts inside here. Cockpit, let's look for dashboard. Oh no, no dashboard. All right, let's go to the interior. Ah, we have an interior. All right, since these are basically bones that are going to move, we are going to create a new part. We have to create, when we create these parts, they have to match the bone hierarchy. Otherwise, you'll get some funky bugs. So I'm just going to copy the cockpit dashboard and making an animated joint because we're removing a bone. That's what animated joints are for. I don't know what to do with my hands. Now we're going to add the throttle and the joystick. We have our interior, which has our dashboard. Oh no. Which has our throttle and our joystick pivot. Now let's go back into the game. Yay, it's moving the joystick whenever I move my joystick, and let's try throttle. Uh-oh, I have the throttle going the wrong way. He's going this way instead of forward and back. Let's fix that. I know this is gonna sound weird. Is it smashers or hunters? I always forget. Throttle. Ah, we're doing Y. Probably want X. Yep, joystick works. And now, there's our throttle. So as I go forward, he pushes his throttle forward, and as I stop, he pushes the throttle back until we're done. And if we use them both at the same time, our player basically goes, wah. Ah, thumb got caught. All right, so the bug was, you know, when you're in the M50 and you're using the joystick or even the throttle, the player wasn't, you know, doing what you're doing. If I move to the left, move to the right, move the throttle, he just like. So I went into the script, found where the problem lied. There were some missing parts to find those parts, and then once I got that set up, we tried the throttle and it was going the wrong direction, so I fixed, you know, that part, and then we're good to go. He was using the throttle, going back and forward, and now the player will, you know, use the animations and bring that next level immersion and not just remain static in the cockpit. More darts? I could shoot them at people, like Brandon. Oh, you actually have one loaded.
Well, next week we have concept artist Germak Basin.
He's doing some amazing work with the Mustang. He also designed everyone's favorite constellation, Phoenix. So that should be a cool interview. Post your questions to the forums.
And of course, now for this week's art sneak peek.
And what you're going to see here is several shots of the Retaliator cockpit, which is undergoing gray boxing in the UK. It's looking really cool, and we hope to get in the hangars in the near future.
I thought the point of a sneak peek is you don't say anything about it. All right, guys. We will see you next week. Waves.
Waves.
There was a hugs.
Hugs.
We'll do the. Yeah.
Goodbye.
That's great.
You're around the verse.
Around the verse.